Hello, I'm Judith. Welcome to my kitchen. Tonight I'm going to do something that I'm sure is familiar to a lot of people as toad in the hole. This wasn't what we called it when I was a child. Possibly my mom didn't actually realize that was what it's generally called, or she didn't think her girls would like eating toad. The boys would have liked it, but we had more girls than boys. And she could have called it sausages in Yorkshire pudding. Then again, possibly she was worried we couldn't pronounce Yorkshire pudding. For whatever reason, I grew up calling it sausages in paper. And I think Mum called it that because of the crackly, thin crust on the Yorkshire. Who knows? Mum used beef sausages. I'm really not a super huge fan of beef sausages. So I have some lovely Italian sausages, which are mostly pork. And then we have the ingredients for the Yorkshire pudding. I am going to make a gravy to go with it. And I don't want to use the sausages to make the gravy. So I have a nice soup bone and some beef fat rendering. I'll show you all that later. Let's get started. So now we start on our toads. Sausages. So we just put a little oil in the pan, which is already hot. Got my spatula. Spread it around nicely. We want to try and keep these as flat as possible, not let them curl up too much. So we're just going to brown them on all sides first. Once you have your sausages browned to your satisfaction, turn the heat down and cover them, because you do want them to cook through. They are going to be in the oven with the Yorkshire pudding, but if they're not already cooked, they may not cook all the way through, and you really don't want to serve raw sausages. So how do you make beef gravy without cooking a roast? Simple. You start with a beef soup bone. First off, we're going to give it a bit of a roast itself, just to brown it up, because we don't want pale gravy. We want a nice, rich, dark brown gravy. So we're going to roast our soup bone, and then we'll continue from there. After about half an hour, your soup bone should look fairly well browned and cooked. And just take it out and put it in a pot. Now you are going to want to put all those juices in as well. So let's grab this. So just pour in, let's get it over here. Pour in anything. Maybe rinse your pan with a little water. We don't want to lose any of that good flavor. And then we're going to cover our soup bone with some water. We don't have to totally cover it. We're not going to make a huge amount of gravy, but we are going to cook this for some time. Bring this pot to a boil. We are going to cover it and then turn the heat down and let it simmer several hours, 2 to 3 hours, something like that. Just get all the flavor out of there. Our beef stock has been simmering most of the day. I did turn it off a little while ago, and it's sitting here cooling with the beef still in it and the bone. That's okay. We're just going to leave it sit there because we have another little bit we need to do. Cast iron pan. I'm going to just turn it on to a low heat, and I have some beef fat. This is 160 grams of beef fat. It's like 10 cents for that. Actually, I don't think they really care how much it is. All the packages I saw were labeled 10 cents. And some are bigger than others. So I'm just going to put that in the pan and let it render out, because we do want the fat. That is an essential part of the gravy. We've rendered our beef fat, so I'm going just to remove the pieces that are left. And there's way more fat than we need for our gravy, which is what I needed because the excess is going to go into our baking dish for our toad in the hole, or our sausages in paper. Our next step with our gravy is to add some flour to make a roux. And I've got about 2, maybe 3 tablespoons of the beef fat in there. We're just gonna put in tablespoons of flour. A touch more. I rarely use this particular implement, but it was the one that my mom always used for gravy, so in honor of my mom, I am using it. We're going to let that cook for just a couple of minutes. We want our flour to cook out, get rid of the raw taste in the flour. Now I'm going to start adding the beef stock that we made. So and whisk it very well because it is going to be lumpy. The more you whisk it, the smoother it'll get. Now that we've got it smooth, we're just going to let it start to simmer. And we're going to turn it down to extremely low. Now if you don't like the color, because mine is very pale, even though our beef stock was pretty dark, but with the flour being white, if you want it to be darker, you can add beef stock cubes. That will add to flavor too if you think it's a little weak. And since the gravy was pretty pale, I did add beef bouillon concentrate. Don't forget to check for seasoning, even if you add the beef bouillon concentrate or cubes or whatever you use. Because you may want to add some pepper or some salt. But this seems to be okay. Because remember, we didn't put anything in with our soup bone when we cooked it. But yeah, if you're adding anything else to it, don't add salt and pepper until afterwards so you can check. Because some of those are really salty. Once our sausages are cooked, take the lid off, and we are going to put them in the pan with our beef fat, which has solidified somewhat. And the oven is turned on to 450 degrees. Straighten up. So as soon as that hits temperature, we're going to put the pan in the oven, wait till the grease gets smoking hot, or nearly, and then we're going to pour in our Yorkshire batter. Now our pan with the bacon fat, or with the beef fat and the sausages goes in the oven, and we just have to wait for the fat to get super, super hot. Okay, once we have everything super, super hot, we are going to quickly pour in our Yorkshire batter. Close the oven again before it cools. And that will get 15 to 20 minutes till it's puffed and brown. And then we slowly reduce the temperature for another 15 minutes or so. Okay, you need to get a look at this when I open the oven because it's glorious, but it will fall quickly. And that is one of the most beautiful things on the planet. But look at how quickly the Yorkshire shrinks. Oh, it is going to be delicious. Now all we need is to add the gravy. Oh, that is beautiful. Serve with some lovely salad, and you have a nice meal. Just add a nice simple salad, and you have a nice meal. Or some steamed vegetables. It's comfort food from my childhood. If you liked the video, please click the like button. I'd love it if you subscribe. And I'll see you again soon with a new video.